My boyfriend, who we'll call John for privacy reasons, and I have been together for a year and have lived together for around the past 5 months. Both of our names are on the lease, and we split the rent and bills equally. Ever since we got together, his older sister, Amy, also a fake name, has always had a problem with me for some reason. I've always had the feeling that her love for him has gone deeper than a brother-sister love, by the way she acts towards him and by some of the things John has told me about her. Now here lies the problem. Around 2 months ago, Amy found out that she was going to be kicked out of her apartment. She hasn't tried to look for anywhere else to live and has just been acting like it's not happening. Yesterday, John went over to help her move some of her stuff into storage. And when he got home that night, he brought up to me that their mother had suggested that Amy could move in with us. I told him that I'm not comfortable with that due to our history and her overall attitude towards me. John got upset with me over it, saying she's family and we need to help her out. But before John and I moved in together, he had suddenly been evicted from his apartment as well, and only got a 10-day notice before he had to move out. We both had to drain all of our savings and move in together, so he wouldn't become homeless. During this time, Amy offered no help towards him when she knew the whole situation that was going on. I ended up telling John that if she moves in, then I'm moving out, and we've been fighting about it ever since. Now, before people start calling me heartless for not wanting to help Amy, we're not her only option. Her mother-in-law offered her a room to stay in until she could find an apartment, which she declined. Additionally, John and Amy's mother has a male 2-bedroom apartment, just like us, that she could stay in. She has all adult children. Only their mother and stepfather live there, which I don't know why she didn't offer to her. So am I the idiot? Edit 1. Here's some clarification on some things, because I've seen a lot of people asking about it. Amy's husband is currently in prison and isn't getting out anytime soon. They have 2 children who are going to be staying with her mother-in-law. So I don't know why she wouldn't take her spare room there, so she could be close to her kids. The reason John was evicted from his last apartment was because of criminal activity for charges that were later dropped. He had the opportunity to appeal the decision and present the papers that stated that the charges had been dropped, but all the court costs were going to add up more than it would cost to just move. Now his sister, on the other hand, was evicted because she was several months behind on her rent. I am currently 20 weeks pregnant with his child and have made it crystal clear that our 2nd bedroom is for our child and that I'm not willing to give up my son's room for Amy. Another important thing is that John and I live an hour away from where Amy works and had previously resided, while Amy's mother and mother-in-law live in the same city. So, we're not exactly the most practical choice for her to stay with either. I don't have much of an update right now, but John and I were able to have a calm discussion about it, and I reiterated my feelings and stood by my ultimatum. He said he understood how I felt and that he had gotten upset over it because his mother had been putting a lot of pressure on him over it, and had been for a while. He said he only recently brought it up because it's not something he really wants to happen, and knew that it wasn't something that I would want, but asked anyway out of fear that his mother would try to cause problems over it. We agreed that her moving in isn't a good idea and that it wouldn't be happening. I don't know where she's planning to stay now, but I'm just glad that pressure is off of me now. Thank you to everyone for the advice. I'm trying to read all of it, and I hope this makes everything more clear. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You should just get your own place. Your boyfriend has already chosen his sister over you since he's angry at your ultimatum. Even when he knows she doesn't like you, he's willing to have you uncomfortable in your own home to please his family. Red flag. There's no saving the relationship at this point, because even if she doesn't move in, your boyfriend and his mom are going to be bitter about it. He just showed you that his mom and sister are going to be the ones running the show if you stay with him in the long run. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Even if you disregard the fact that you and his sister don't get along, moving someone into a shared living space is firmly a 2 yeses, 1 no deal. Don't do it. You know she'll be a massive thorn in your side the entire time, and she'll do whatever she can to drive you two apart. I get that he wants to help out his sister, but he needs to realize that doing so will likely end your relationship. Now for the update. Hey everyone, I'm back with an update on the situation with my boyfriend John, his sister Amy, and the whole moving in drama. It's been a busy week, and I've got some news to share. After John and I had our calm discussion, things seemed to be settling down. We agreed that Amy moving in with us was off the table. But, as you can guess, that wasn't the end of it. Amy, who had been quiet since our decision, suddenly showed up at our doorstep with her bags, claiming she had nowhere else to go. She said her mother-in-law's place had fallen through, and that her own mother refused to take her in. John was torn. He didn't want to go back on our agreement, but seeing his sister in distress was pulling at his heartstrings. I reminded him of our future child and the need for stability, not to mention the tension Amy's presence brought into our home. It was a tough night, with Amy on our couch and John and I whispering in our room, trying to figure out what to do next. The next morning, Amy was gone. She left a note saying she'd figure something out. But that wasn't the last we heard of her. Later that day, John got a call from his mom, who was furious that we hadn't taken Amy in. She accused us of being selfish and uncaring. John, who's always been the peacemaker in the family, tried to explain our side, but his mom wasn't having any of it. Meanwhile, I was dealing with my own stress. Being 20 weeks pregnant isn't easy, and the added drama was taking its toll. I needed support, and I was starting to resent Amy for causing so much trouble. Then, 2 days ago, things took a surprising turn. John's mom called again, this time with a different tone. She confessed that she had been the one to tell Amy not to accept the offer from her mother-in-law. She wanted Amy to move in with us because she thought it would be better for her to be with family. But after seeing the strain it was putting on our relationship, she had a change of heart. She offered to let Amy stay with her after all, admitting that she should have done so from the beginning. Amy, who had been staying with a friend in the meantime, agreed to move in with their mom. It was a huge relief for us, and it felt like a weight had been lifted. John and I had a long talk after that. We discussed how important it was to set boundaries, especially with family. He apologized for the pressure he had put on me and promised that we would be a team when it came to decisions about our home and our child. As for Amy, she's settling in with their mom, and from what John tells me, it's going better than expected. She's even started looking for a new place closer to her job, which is a big step forward. Throughout this whole ordeal, I've learned a lot about standing my ground and the importance of communication. John and I are stronger for it, and we're looking forward to welcoming our baby into a peaceful home. Fiancé's family crashes honeymoon and plans his surprise party, so we ditch the luxury early. Their toxic plot backfires when we uncover the will. So here is the lowdown. My 28-year-old fiancé and I met during our sophomore year of college and started dating after graduation. We have been together for 2 years. My fiancé was not close with his family when he was growing up. In the 2 years we have been dating, I have only met his parents about 3 times. That doesn't bother me. As I mentioned earlier, he has a lot of resentment due to his upbringing and just doesn't particularly like spending much time with them. Nothing bad happened to him on their part, but outside of his basic needs being taken care of, there was little emotional support. My fiancé was given a terminal diagnosis a few months ago with a life expectancy of 2 years. Treatments are not an option, so we are just living life to the fullest. After he learned of his illness, he and his family have gotten a bit closer, and they see each other more often. His very wealthy family gifted us our honeymoon as our wedding gift. My husband and I chose Puerto Vallarta because we wanted a relaxing resort vacation and to go snorkeling together. One last luxurious trip for our bucket list. However, his parents also chose the dates of the honeymoon without asking us. They booked the trip so that his birthday falls during it. Then they said they wanted to spend his last birthday with him, so they will also be joining us. They did get their own suite at the resort, and both of his siblings got rooms at the resort too. Don't get me wrong, I am really grateful that they are gifting us this experience, but I'm annoyed that they deliberately made it during a time when they could conveniently join our honeymoon. I know he is sick, and I know they want to spend time with him. My fiancé won't say anything to them because he doesn't want to fight with anyone during his final time here, which I understand. I think I just wish they could have booked a separate trip for the family to go on, rather than during our honeymoon, a time that we could have spent together alone, which honestly we rarely get these days. Between hospital visits, seeing friends, and checking off things he wants to experience, we are pretty busy. Like I mentioned earlier, money is not an issue, and they could have easily booked a separate trip, but they chose to make the trip during his birthday, so they had the excuse to join in. When they told us that they were also coming on the trip, I said that was a little strange. Now they are mad at me for not understanding how important it is for them to spend my fiancé's birthday with him. The entire family thinks that I am wrong for being upset about this. His parents have said I will barely even see them, so I shouldn't be upset. But we are all staying at the same resort, with rooms right next to each other. So, am I the idiot for telling my in-laws it's weird that they are coming on my honeymoon with us? ETA, our honeymoon is delayed. Our wedding is in February. We had originally asked for the honeymoon to be a month later, in March. They chose to make it in June so that his birthday would fall during it. Also, we do intend to take a separate trip. We can't afford much, or take much time off of work. But we will try to do something. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No idiots here. I get that this is supposed to be your honeymoon and therefore don't want the in-laws around. But if I'm reading this right, you are getting married around your husband's birthday, and as such will be gone on his birthday, and his parents want to spend what might be his last birthday with him. Could you see about not having rooms right next to each other? Because if that's the case, you literally might only see them when at designated meetup times, dinner. Or I don't know how much vacation time and disposable money you have or anything like that. But if it's possible, maybe use this as a family vacation and then fly from there to your actual honeymoon vacation. Or even look into staying a few days longer than what the in-laws will be there for. Comment 2. No idiots here. This situation is not the typical honeymoon situation. I think it's understandable that you're annoyed, but it's also understandable that his family would want to make some great memories with him before they lose him. The worst thing that could happen would be for your husband to have to witness you and his family fight over him, and how distressing that would be for him. Those aren't the kind of memories anyone wants to be making. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. I'm back with an update, and boy do I have some news. So, we went on the honeymoon, and things got complicated. Remember how I said my fiancé's family booked the trip during his birthday so they could join us? Well, it turns out that wasn't the only reason they chose those dates. My fiancé's brother, who's always been the golden child, had secretly planned his own engagement on the same trip. He wanted to propose to his girlfriend at the resort, with the whole family there, including us. Now, my fiancé and I had always been the low-key couple, never wanting to steal anyone's thunder. But this felt like a betrayal. My fiancé's health was deteriorating, and this trip was supposed to be about making memories for us. Instead, it turned into a family spectacle. The day of the proposal, my fiancé's brother took center stage. Everyone was so caught up in the excitement that they barely noticed my fiancé was feeling unwell. I was furious. We were supposed to be celebrating our love, but instead, we were sidelined at our own honeymoon. But that wasn't the worst part. The night after the proposal, I overheard a conversation between my fiancé's parents that left me reeling. They were discussing how, with my fiancé's condition, they were worried about the inheritance. They didn't want me to end up with everything if he passed away. They were planning to convince him to change his will to ensure the wealth stayed in their family. I confronted them the next day, and it was a mess. Accusations flew, and my fiancé's parents tried to play it off like they were just looking out for their family's best interests. But my fiancé overheard everything. He was heartbroken that his own family would think so little of me the person who'd been by his side through the toughest times. He decided to have a talk with his family without me. I don't know what was said, but when he came back, he was different. He told me he'd made it clear to them that I was his family now, and that he wouldn't let them manipulate him. The rest of the trip was tense. We tried to enjoy our time together, but the air was thick with unspoken words and regret. My fiancé's siblings kept their distance, and his parents tried to act like nothing had happened, but the damage was done. On the last day, my fiancé took me out on a private boat ride away from his family. He apologized for everything, for not standing up to them sooner, for not giving us the honeymoon we deserved. He told me he loved me more than anything and that he'd make it up to me. We spent the day out on the water, just the two of us, snorkeling and holding on to each other like it was the only thing that mattered. When we got back to the resort, my fiancé's family was waiting for us. They tried to apologize, but my fiancé cut them off. He told them that from now on, it would be just us. He wanted to spend whatever time he had left with me, without any interference. We left the resort the next day, earlier than planned. My fiancé was exhausted, but he held my hand the whole flight home, whispering plans for the little time we had left. He wanted to make every moment count, just the two of us. Sister's toxic friends invade our home, so I cut her off. My niece's tears revealed the sting of betrayal, and then the missing cash. My name is Tia, 32, and my sister Layla, 30, were in and out of foster care growing up. Layla got pregnant at 17 and went to prison at 18 for robbery with her boyfriend. Because I was 19, I was legally allowed to take custody of my niece, Ash. The whole time my sister was in prison, I would visit her and let my niece visit her as well, so she could try to build a connection with her mom. But as the years went by, Ash started calling me mom and called my sister Lai, because I was the one that was there day to day, taking care of her. Fast forward to 2020, and Lila gets out of prison early due to good behavior and the state trying to reduce the prison population due to infection 1919. Lila is 27 at this time, and Ash is 10. By now, I have gone to school, gotten a stable job, bought a house, and feel I'm doing well for myself and Ash. So of course, Lila is paroled to come live with me. At first, everything is good. We all start getting acquainted and used to each other. Lai is trying to figure out life as an adult in the free world, and of course, I'm trying to help her as well. After about a year, Lai has really started influencing Ash in a negative way. Prior to her coming home, Ash was a straight A student, very well-mannered, involved in school dance and cheer, and making strides towards a positive entry to middle school. Now, my sweetie is rude, flunking most of her classes, cursing, and talking back to me. And Lai just laughs it off. I feel like I'm raising two teenagers at that point. Lai stayed gone a lot, trying to invite strange and crazy people over to my home, etc. I had enough. She wouldn't work, wouldn't help around the house, nothing. Now, in 2023, Lai finally has a job at Burger King and has a crazy, weird boyfriend. A few weeks ago, she says she's moving in with her boyfriend. I told her, okay, good luck. Then she says she's taking Ash with her. Oh, hell no. I'm her parent. I will gladly allow visitation. But you are not taking this child out of my home to go couch surfing with you and your stupid boyfriend. Mind you, Lai is still on parole until 2026. Ash walked in on us arguing and says she wants to go with her mom. I explained to her that I have custody and that she cannot go with her. She cried and stomped out of the room. My sister then yells at me and says I'm a horrible person for splitting up her and her child. First of all, I have given up my entire young adult years to raise this child. I gave up a world travel fellowship, a relationship, etc., just to be here for this child, so she would never have to go through what my sister and I did in the foster care system. I am all for letting them visit each other. But I'm not letting her leave. Ash is now 13 and feels she's entitled to make her own decisions. But I know how her mom is. It'll be a disappointment going to live with her. I've given her such a stable life, and my sister has ruined most of it in less than 3 years. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk, but your mistake was not setting hard boundaries with your sister. She should have been told that she had to get a job and keep it, and pay her share of the costs. food, electricity, and buy her own clothes and such. Or she got kicked out. Instead, she got to show Ash that you could be a bum and live off others with few consequences. Do not ever let your sister move back in. Let Ash see what her mom leading that life leads to. Perhaps Ash can be gotten back on track. Comment 2. Not the jerk. You gave the kid a stable household and now hold parental rights. Once she turns 18, you can tell Ash she can do what she wants. She can visit her biological mom as much as she wants, but you need to continue to raise her yourself. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a week since I shared my story, and boy, do I have an update for you. So, after the big blowout with Layla about her wanting to take Ash with her, things got even more intense. Layla's boyfriend, who I'll call Rick, showed up at my house unannounced. He tried to sweet-talk me into letting Ash go with them, saying they had a stable place and that Layla deserved a chance to be a mom. I stood my ground, reminding him that I have legal custody and that Ash's well-being is my top priority. But here's where it gets crazy. A couple of days later, I came home from work early and found Layla packing Ash's things. She had convinced Ash to leave with her while I was at work. I was furious and heartbroken at the same time. I couldn't believe Layla would go behind my back after everything I've done for both of them. I called the police, and when they arrived, it was a scene straight out of a drama show. Layla was screaming that I was stealing her daughter, and Ash was crying, torn between us. The officers checked the custody papers and told Layla she couldn't take Ash. Layla lost it. She accused me of ruining her life, saying I always thought I was better than her because I didn't end up in prison. The truth is, I never thought I was better than Layla. I just wanted to give Ash the life we never had. I remember when Layla first got pregnant, how scared she was. I promised her I'd be there for her and the baby. And I kept that promise, even when she was locked up and I was juggling college and a part-time job. After the police left, Ash wouldn't talk to me. She stayed in her room, and I felt like I was losing her. I tried to remind her of all the good times we had, like when I taught her to ride a bike or when we baked her favorite chocolate chip cookies. But she just shut me out. Now, for the twist that I'm still reeling from. Yesterday, I got a call from Layla's parole officer. He wanted to meet with me urgently. When we sat down, he told me something that knocked the wind out of me. Layla had been planning to leave the state with Ash and Rick, which would have been a violation of her parole. But that's not all. Rick, it turns out, has a record for fraud and was wanted in another state. The parole officer said that Layla had been caught on a wiretap discussing plans to use Ash in a scam Rick was running. They were going to pose as a struggling family to con people out of money. I was in shock. My sister, using her own daughter for a scam? It was like I didn't even know her. I confronted Layla and she broke down, admitting everything. She said she was desperate to make a life for herself and thought this was the only way. I couldn't believe she would stoop so low. It was like all those years in prison had changed her and not for the better. Now, Layla is facing additional charges and Rick is on the run. Ash heard everything and finally realized the kind of trouble her mom was in. She's been quiet, probably processing the whole mess. I'm trying to pick up the pieces and give Ash the stability she needs. But with Layla's betrayal, it feels like we're back to square one. I just hope Ash can see that I only want what's best for her, even if it means making the tough decisions. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.